Hey Redditors, this is a furious venting section, a scream for help, but don't worry, I'm feeling better now. It's just the feminine wrath right now, and I'll get right to the point and provide an unbiased perspective. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but before you pass judgment, please listen to me. The person who ends a relationship is typically regarded as callous because how can they be upset when they instigated it, right? I'm not supporting toxic people who hurt their spouses, but some people just make you unhappy until it becomes your reality. It can take many different forms. Some men show emotional distance. Some people are constantly too busy with everything but their partners. Some people lack the courage to stand up for their spouses. Some people mistreat their relationships and dismiss them as mere jokes, and others will understand what I mean. My boyfriend had all of these wonderful qualities, and let's not even begin to analyze the character of his excellent best friend, who also had all of these qualities to a greater extent. For a long time, these two men made my life miserable, and I thought that this was the way one should live. The tranquility that I now have in my life after kicking them out is out of this world, but they have returned and are wreaking havoc because who else would want to do that? I'll take you back to my college days to help you understand this. Yes, I acknowledge that I was foolish enough to date this man for 4 years, but I was the dumbest person to accept his proposal and decide to marry him. His best friend and my ex have been close since kindergarten and share many traits, including sexism, misogyny, insecurity, and overconfidence. It wasn't always this bad. I had good days with my ex at first, and he was charming. Trust me when I say that man knew how to be charming. He tried to impress me, and it worked for the first few months. When college ended and I was looking for work, he would laugh in my face in front of our friends and encourage others to follow his approach, which went something like this. You'd never get hired, lol, even if you do, you'll be fired. This was the beginning of the problems, and it was his constant unavailability in business while partying with his friends that caused them. He then gaslighted me, telling me that I was crazy and delusional for questioning why you wouldn't give me his time. This went on for a while. His closest friend would call me all sorts of names and describe me as a dramatic and impulsive woman, the stereotypical woman who overreacts to everything and obsesses over little matters. He would make fun of me everywhere, and it was hurtful. He would say things like, "Thank God you're pretty. They hired you as eye candy, L." This felt disrespectful and annoying, and my ex would only laugh every time I argued with my ex, would just sit there and laugh. If I start talking about these things, I could give you a million examples. But that isn't what we're here for. When the wedding planning started, his best friend made all the decisions. I was the bride, and I was going to have my dream wedding, but we would only choose what his friend wanted. At times, I thought he was picking something I didn't like on purpose, like when he picked orange for my wedding cake, even though I don't like the taste. My ex's best friend was a perfectionist, and my fantasy dress was allegedly too gaudy for his tastes. This went on, and I persisted until I couldn't. On my wedding day, something horrible happened, but now that I think about it, I'm glad it did. My ex's best friend wanted to have fun by organizing a rude prank, and that's not all. He used some harsh words. I'll explain that a pregnant woman was carried inside, and he declared that he shouldn't marry this stupid, ugly hag, referring to me. He started laughing and looked at my groom, asking if he really wanted to live with this dramatic stupidity for the rest of his life. He was being so cruel to me without any reason, and I was just standing there, unable to speak or cry. This went on for about 30 minutes, and I was on edge when the girl of the two men started laughing. I've never felt weaker in my life. This was all in front of all the wedding guests, not just the 4 of us. I felt like my heart was breaking, and I was going to die while these people laughed in my face and then said it was a joke or a prank. Can you imagine how that feels after they made fun of me in front of everyone and used such offensive language against me? When I started to yell at them, they simply yelled back that I was stupid for not knowing how to respond to a joke, which was enough to convince me that I didn't want to live with this for the rest of my life. I left my groom at the altar and walked away, and they tried to make things right. However, I left and disappeared for about 2 weeks because I needed time to recover from this severe mental distress. I won't go into great detail about how I recovered, but it wasn't an easy journey. It started with going to therapy, crying myself to sleep or being unable to sleep, and ending up in the hospital for dehydration and poor eating habits because I was starving myself. I didn't fully recover though, and the thought of it all made my eyes water, but I was also working on fixing it, which was what needed to be fixed, not my superficial relationship, which this nasty man is currently trying to mend as I've already mentioned. It's been 8 months, and my ex's best friend is taking his role as best man a little too seriously. He ruined my wedding by spoiling it with constant calls and texts, showing up at work, and coming to my house. He thinks this is just a problem that needs to be resolved. When I stated that I had moved on and ended the relationship, he simply asked if I was dating anyone new. If I had another man in my life, he would probably leave me alone, but as a woman, I made the decision to be safe while not in love. I'm so over this. It's mentally taxing because every time this man tries to talk about the past, it brings up unpleasant memories. Please give me some advice, gentlemen. Gentlemen, update 1, thank you so much for your kind words. When I thought about writing this, it was more of a venting session. I didn't expect people to be so involved. Reading your comments made me feel like a movie character, and you're all coming up with your own theories. Restraining order, and I think it's a great idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that myself, but it's never too late. I'm just trying to live my life as best I can, and he's doing everything possible to avoid it. I'll bet that restraining order, 2 dies. I got the restraining order, and guess what? I got a text from my ex's best friend's girlfriend, who sent that she update 3. Hello there, I'm not sure if this was the right thing to do. I spoke with my ex, and we had a long chat, during which I clarified it that I was no longer interested in him and would never contact him again. Although I call it a discussion, it was mostly me speaking and him agreeing. My partner was just being nice, but my move made her think that I wasn't worth it because it was so dramatic. I'm really frustrated now. It's all the same old drama, and I'm over it. If the restraining order wasn't enough, I told him that I would not be harassed again and that he would talk to his friend. It's been a week, and I haven't heard from him or his best friend, so I sincerely hope it stays that way because I am so over these people, and I don't trust them at all. Thank you. You are all nice people, and I'm going to sign off for now, NTA. But reading this made me feel really irritated with your ex and his closest friend. I understand how you tolerated such behavior. Moving on to the next story, I proposed to my girlfriend, but my brother was upset because she was his ex. Months later, he unexpectedly got down on one knee and proposed to her during a family dinner. What would you do if your brother did that in front of you and your entire family? It sounds like something from a drama film, but it really happened to me, and believe me, things only got worse from there. A few months ago, I met Jen, who was everything I could have ever wanted, smart, kind, and gorgeous. I kept our relationship private at first, but as things became serious, I decided it was time to show her to my family. One evening at a family dinner, I casually showed my parents some pictures of Jen on my phone, and my mom explained how beautiful she was. My sisters were thrilled for me, but then Mark, my older brother, grabbed my phone, and his face instantly changed. He yelled, "Are you kidding me? You're dating my ex." I was thoroughly taken aback. Jen had never mentioned dating Mark, but later that night, I asked her about it, and she admitted that they had dated, but only briefly, because he was bored and didn't want to settle down. Mark had broken up with her for a month. Although their relationship was short-lived and meaningless to him, he insisted that I end it right away, and things were never the same again. As the months went by, my love for Jen grew, and I knew she was the one. So I planned a lovely dinner for her birthday with our families and closest friends. When I proposed to her, the whole room cheered, except for Mark, who had anger burning in his eyes. Sisters stopped him right away, and 2 months later, Mark invited Jen and me and the rest of the family to dinner at his apartment. It felt strange because he had been avoiding me ever since I proposed, so why now? However, since my parents and sisters were leaving, we decided to give it a shot. The dinner began normally, with us eating and talking, and nothing seemed strange until Mark abruptly stood up and said, "I have a big announcement," looking directly at Jen. Before I could react, he got down on one knee, pulled out a cheap-looking ring, and proposed to my fiancée in front of me. Jen looked appalled. "Get up. What the hell are you doing?" She yelled at Mark, who turned to my parents. "Mom, don't you think she and I belong together?" she said. My dad jumped up to grab him, but before he could, I punched Mark square in the face. He stumbled back, laughing like a crazy person. "I just wanted to show you that Jen doesn't love you," and he sneered. "She's just trying to get back at me." I grabbed Jen's hand, stormed out, and decided then and there that Mark would not be attending our wedding. A few days later, my mother arrived at my house, furious. "You need to invite Mark to the wedding," she ordered. "He proposed to my fiancée in front of me." "Are you serious? You really think I'd allow him anywhere near my wedding?" "He was just kidding," she snapped. "You're being dramatic. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then she said, "If Mark isn't invited, then I won't be attending either." I looked her in the eye and told her, "If that's what you want, go ahead, but I won't beg you to be there." She stormed out in rage. 2 weeks later, my mom returned, feigning to make amends. At first, I thought maybe she had come to apologize, but the moment I brought up Mark's crazy proposal, we were yelling at each other when Jen abruptly got up to leave, and then my mother attacked her. She lunged at Jen, grabbed her hair, and threw her to the ground, screaming insults, and even tried to scratch her face. I lost it, so I dragged my mother off Jen and threw her out of my house. She banged on our door for 10 minutes, screaming and sobbing, before finally leaving that night. "You're overreacting," she said, rolling her eyes at the joke. My mother wasn't finished yet, though, because a few days later she waited outside my workplace and cornered me, screaming at me in front of my coworkers, calling me a traitor. "How could you do this to me? You ruined our family." I stared at her, disgusted. "You don't want legal trouble," I said coldly. "Then you shouldn't have attacked Jen." She begged me to withdraw the police report, which I refused, and then she said something that really made me sick. "Your sisters forgive." I stepped closer, met her eyes directly, and said, "They can forgive you if they want, but I never will." I then turned to leave, never to be seen again. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and click the notification bell to be informed of more startling real-life stories that are happening in your community.